But another thing I want you to understand is what comes right before this passage. So the beginning of chapter 4, it's talking about unity of the body of the church. So it says, as a prisoner for the Lord, then, this is Paul writing, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body, one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. But to each one of us, grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. So he's talking about unity, everything is one, but to each one of us, grace has been given as Christ has apportioned it. And it goes on to that, what we just looked at, of verses 11 and 13, and describing these gifts that are used for leaders to equip his people. And what I want you to take from that and identify here is that every single one of us is called to be a leader. It says, but each one of us, Jesus has provided this grace of these spiritual gifts to each one of us. And if this is the leadership operating system of his church, then we are all called to become leaders. And that makes a lot of sense, because if we're called to go and make disciples, obviously you can't make a disciple unless you're a leader. How are you going to help someone become a disciple if you aren't leading them? So it's a natural process, and it's something that God is calling every one of us to. But again, I go back to what I was talking about, how generally we think of this one gift kind of mentioned very briefly in Romans 12 of the gift of leadership, which is like this organizational leadership, being a captain of a ship, or think of like a CEO of a company. Not everyone has that gift. That's a unique gift. But it says every single one of us was given these gifts: apes, apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, to equip his people, the people of the church, to do the work that God is calling them to do. And so this is a really important thing, I think, to understand about the church and your role in it. This might be the biggest reason why I started the Chicago Underground Network. I want people to understand that the Holy Spirit has empowered you for a masterpiece mission, to a general calling of making disciples, and then to this unique calling that God has prepared for you to do. And all really a church community can do is either encourage that empowerment of the Holy Spirit or stifle it, unfortunately. And I want to see more churches that are encouraging that empowerment of the Holy Spirit for every single person to be equipped and empowered to fulfill this calling that God is inviting them to.